is Alex from Technology Personalized. This is the first hands-on with the ZTE Open. As you see, it's a pretty nice phone. It feels pretty good at touch. The material is plastic, I believe. It has a dedicated power button, volume, the classic micro USB plug, a nice screen. How large is the screen?
I don't know.
I believe it's 4-inch.
On the press release, you will have all the info.
I believe it's 4-inch, the screen. It has an internal 8 MHz single core processor to 255 megabytes of RAM, 2 gigabytes of internal memory that is used only by the OS, and around up to 32 gigabytes of memory for the micro SD card. It has a pretty sleek home button, and the rest of the OS is based on Linux kernel, so pretty nice.
This is Firefox OS. It's running on a ZTE phone here. ZTE is one of the providers that we're working with to actually get the hardware done. And it's basically a very low-end phone for markets that don't have access to the internet right now on phones. So what we want to do with Firefox OS is not replace iOS, not replace Android, but actually bring web connectivity and apps to people who cannot afford any of the other two. So on this phone with like an 800 MHz processor and 256 meg of RAM, the last Android that would run would be Honeycomb. And you don't get any of the new ones. Whereas here you have actually all the apps that you want to have, like we got our Twitters, we got our Facebooks, you got games, you got all the different things that you want to have, and it functions like any other phone.
All running on the browser, should I say, using HTML5?
Yes, all of it is HTML5, but it's not running on the browser, but it's actually, the browser is the operating system in this case. So we've taken Android, got rid of all the Android layer, just used the Linux kernel of it, so we got access to the hardware, and then we put Firefox, the Gecko Firefox engine on top of that. So the operating system is written in HTML5, all the apps are written in HTML5, which means HTML5 applications become a first citizen of the phone for the first time.
Is it hard for an Android developer to write code in HTML5? That's
not really. If you know how to build things for the web, which we've been doing for 13 years now, then actually you can build apps like that. Even more interesting is people who don't know how to build Android apps can now build apps and get full access to the hardware, which we never could do before. As an HTML5 developer, I always had to use something like PhoneGap to convert my HTML5 application into a native application. Now I don't need to do that anymore, unless I also want to run it out on Android or iOS. So with HTML5, I can build for all platforms. With other platforms, I build for one. So I have to bet on the right one with all my money and all my time.
That's great. That's why I believe Mozilla is getting so much support from Nokia.
Yeah. And
like that.
Well, the big benefit here is actually that that the app model to me is kind of broken. We have a marketplace like any other platform as well.
What's the name for the marketplace?
Firefox OS Marketplace. It's a clever name. We thought we give it the name as the operating system. So we have a marketplace here where I can store my apps, where I can get the same things as like sell my apps, have in-app payments, and all the things there. But I can also host the application on my own server. So I don't need to go through the process of doing a marketplace, which is great for end users and also great for you, because you have to battle with all the other apps in the marketplace, but if you store it on your own server, it's a different issue. So what we have here is something we call dynamic app search, which already indexed all the apps that I have on my phone here and told me like, okay, these are all the social apps that I have and so on and so forth. And if I now, for example, look for U2, the band, it actually does a search on the web for applications that I could install. So it actually finds out that U2 is a band, it shows me in the background already that U2 is actually there, and it gives me different apps to try out that have content of U2. So I don't need to know the name of the app. I just get an app that gives me the content that I want.
Really nice.
And then I can click it, for example SoundCloud, and I can start playing the music, listening to it, see if I like SoundCloud, and if I like SoundCloud I can install it later on. So the main differentiator is that you can try before you buy with any application instead of having to install the whole thing. It also means that I don't have to download 25 meg, but I download 500k to start using the app, which means on a system where I pay per megabyte or I'm actually on a bad connectivity, I still can try out things. I'm not stuck and say like, okay, now wait for 15 minutes to try the app out.
I understand.
So actually what we made with this system is we made app discovery and using apps as easy as surfing the web, because everything is done in HTML5 and HTML5 has full power to access the hardware.
Okay, thank you very much. Can I play with the phone a bit?
You're welcome.